by my house. The panhandlers have been passed out drunk on our property more than 3 times. They use panhandling as a front to buy and sell drugs, as well as shoot up on a corner adjacent to an elementary school. Physically assaulted me, thrown food at our windows, stolen and vandalized our property. Fight over the corner our house sits on, I actually saw a man try to beat another panhandler with a fence post. Harassed me and stalked me down the street after I politely asked them to remove their trash from our property or to keep them yelling right outside our windows. The yelling has included racial slurs before. They leave trash all around our property that I have to clean up on a daily basis. I am happy to provide photo and video evidence as well as police reports to anyone that is interested. The panhandlers are so close to our home that I can literally reach out and touch them from my porch. It's gotten to the point where I'm having to build a fortress around our home, mirrors so I can see who's out there before we leave for a walk, cameras, a fence, bird spikes around our windows. My neighbors across the street have to walk around them on their own front steps to get into their home. When we first moved into the home, there were maybe 2 to 3 panhandlers a day. That number has increased to over half a dozen, and I fear it will continue to grow if nothing is done. I understand that panhandling is a First Amendment right, and I'm not here to try and start some sort of movement to have that overturned. I'm sure a lot of panhandlers depend on the money they receive. I would just like some sort of protection that can be enforced by the police when it comes to panhandling by residential property. As it stands today, anytime I call law enforcement, they tell me their hands are tied because our home sits on a public sidewalk. A sidewalk that I am responsible for keeping clean and free of snow, leaves, and weeds, but I'm not permitted to ask people who loiter for hours at a time to move on. I'm here to ask for help. An ordinance perhaps barring people from panhandling within so many feet of a private residence, a loitering rule, a pedestrian law, social workers to come out and confirm what sort of assistance can be provided so they won't need to panhandle. Something that would allow the police to ask them to move on. As it stands today, law enforcement can't do that even when the panhandler has destroyed our property. They have a license to remain and harass because they're holding a sign. Outside of reaching out to the police, we have tried to handle these issues ourselves, but it quickly turned retaliatory and dangerous. When you guys go home this evening, and I understand we are all blessed to have homes, those of us that do, I'd like you to imagine having people that have harassed you, vandalized your property, and stolen from you, standing right outside your home every single day, and living with the fact that there's nothing you can do about it because your home sits on a public sidewalk. I'm sure you'll be left asking yourself, I have just 2 more sentences. What rights do I have as a property owner to peaceful enjoyment of my home? Your home should be a sanctuary, not a place filled with anxiety and fear. Thank you for your time today, and I look forward to any solutions made available. Thanks again.
Thank you. Sean White?
I'm here because I think we need an ordinance that panhandling should not be allowed around residential property. I can almost bet that nobody in this room experiences abuse by panhandlers at their house. I've lived on First and St. Catherine since 1981. Old Louisville is the largest conservation district in the nation. It should be cherished. Our houses are a little more expensive to maintain. We shouldn't have to struggle like this. They panhandle, they attack, they sell drugs, they fight, they destroy our property, they throw food on our window. In the 90s, I went to John Boyle. There was crack dealing and gangs across the street from Englehart. In 21, I experienced 14 overdoses. In 23, 6 days out of 7, I saw drug abuse in Old Louisville. So we deal with drug abuse, transitional houses, which is the new cash cow, and drug problems on the street. Brittany is involved in different committees. She's the only person I know that cleans the whole block. Most people clean in front of their house. So if she moves after, her time's up, Old Louisville's losing a good neighbor. And the panhandlers are women. Thank you.
Thank you. Jordan Simpson. Jordan Simpson. Ashley Evans.
So I'm also speaking on the panhandling. I grew up in Old Louisville and currently live in the St. Joseph's neighborhood and just kind of want to share the unhoused crises and my experiences. So I've got several investment properties in Old Louisville and I work in Nulu. Going into Nulu for it, daily if you get stopped at the off-ramp at Broken Chestnut, you're having people pass out in the street, you're wondering if you're gonna run over someone, you've got people knocking on your windows. As I go into work in Nulu, I don't get to park in the parking lot. I wonder how many times I'm gonna get harassed going into work. And that's just the daily experiences there. I do quite a few meetings in different office buildings in downtown Louisville. If I'm going in downtown Louisville and I'm not familiar with the building, I will have a cell phone number or a line so that I know somebody can let me in. At that point, I'm not standing out. So, I've got several renovations in Louisville and I'm down there pretty regularly. I feel really blessed that I get to move on from each of those different experiences, that I get to, move people off of my projects and that part, and then go home in peace. A lot of people are stopping their renovations in Louisville and other urban areas out of fear that the unhoused are gonna move in and set the property on fire. They're out hundreds of thousands of dollars as well as their time. And I keep doing those renovations, but we board our windows, we put in security cameras, and then a lot of prayers. And it's hard. And ultimately, I really feel at peace. Even as I leave home, a lot of times as I'm leaving Louisville, I will go through the Arthur ramp. I've almost hit people on countless times where they're in the middle of the street dressed in black. I live in fear that I'm gonna kill someone just driving down the road. So it's a crisis at the Kroger. I don't know who's gonna knock on my window and ask for food. And all of it is, at least I feel comfortable when I go home that I get to sit on my front porch in peace, that it's not at my house and walking away from it. So even though all of this bothers me and kind of my day-to-day experiences, I realize how fortunate I am compared to Stephen Brittany stats that it's not at my personal home. So absolutely kind of for changing something on the unhoused crisis in Louisville.
Thank you. Denise Rufra.
Hello, my name is Denise Rufra, and I attend St. Lawrence Catholic Church in Shiloh, and I am a member of CLOUD, Citizens of Louisville Organized and United Together. Last fall, as we do every year, CLOUD had a citywide listening process that engaged more than 400 community members to hear their concerns. We heard story after story about mental health. So some of the stories were so dramatic that the loved ones who have been in crisis who were not at a loss of where to turn. Some were stories about youth who are struggling with their mental health after the pandemic. Even if you weren't involved in our listening process, the crisis around mental health in our community should be clear to all of us. We've all seen someone having a mental health crisis in public, a grocery store, in the streets, outside our congregation. And those of us who want to help feel powerless because there's nothing we can do on our own to give them the help they need. In CLOUD's research of this issue, we learned that one of the biggest gaps in Louisville's mental health care system is that there aren't enough places to go when someone is in crisis. Without a safe place to go, too many people end up in jail or a hospital, which only makes their crisis worse. The national best practice to solve the problem is a 24/7 crisis drop-in center, like the one Seven Counties is working to establish by January 2026. This center allows people to walk in or be dropped off by first responders. Once there, they will have an evaluation from a licensed practitioner who can connect them to the appropriate level of care and other resources they need. But in order to make this a reality, the funding needs to be in place. We are asking you, as a Metro Council to make that a reality. You have the power to amend the budget and create the funding for this much-needed service. After this initial investment to launch the program, we believe that 7 counties can work towards sustainable funding without annual costs for Metro government. Funding the center will not only save people's lives, it will bring us closer to the city we all want Louisville to be, a compassionate city where we take care of our neighbors instead of casting them aside. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Angela Johnson.
Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. Angela Johnson. I am the pastor of Graceville Presbyterian Church in Smoketown, and I too am a member of CLOUD. I am speaking on the consent decree. The killing of Breonna Taylor 5 years ago and the community outcry that followed was a wake-up call to many in our community. But for others, it was a reminder of what we have known for years, that the issue of racial injustice in policing is not new. As we saw in the recent report on the history of policing in Louisville that was funded by Louisville Metro government, there is a pattern of racial discrimination in policing dating back to the founding of our city. And this pattern has continued to the present day as the 2023 DOJ report confirmed. The consent decree signed in December marks a real step forward for improving policing and building trust in our community. Although the DOJ initiated this process, we know that their priorities may have changed and that the legal status of the consent decree is uncertain. But whatever the priorities of the federal government may be, moving forward with the consent decree is a statement to the community about who Louisville is. It shows that we are willing to do the hard work of reform, not because it's easy, not because the federal government is making us do it, but because it's the right thing to do. It's the kind of commitment that the community has been calling on for centuries, and it's the kind of commitment that we deserve. Following through on the consent decree reforms will make us a safer and more equitable community. And establishing quality, independent monitoring will help build the trust between the community and the police that has been so sorely missing. Fair and transparent policing practices are good for citizens and for the police. So we urge you to keep the $750,000 set aside for consent decree monitoring in the budget. We've come too far to turn back now. Thank you for your time.
Hannah Martin. Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you. You're fine. Sorry.
Hi, my name is Hannah Martin. I've spoken at this council meeting at least 3 times. The topic will be waste, fraud, abuse, and retaliation. I have been a part of 3 of the state programs, the Lead Safe Louisville program, the Healthy Homes, and the Home Repair program. I have been removed from the ECAP program that initially brought me in contact with the other 3 programs. Since I've been involved in these programs, the company ABN Restoration that the city has been doing business with for over 20 years has left my house with mold, holes in the roof, in 2 of my roofs, mold in my kitchen, and an unsafe structure of my back porch. And they have left me with code violations, which is ironic that I was in the ECAP program that addresses code violations for your property. Once I've contacted staff from the Housing and Community Development, what I've been met with was resistance to take action. They have been retaliatory by leaving me with these code violations and putting me under duress to sign another paper for this gentleman to receive more money for materials that he did not purchase in the first place. My house is a wooden home. This gentleman I had to provide pictures to housing and development showing where he left holes in my home, trying to cover it up with siding. I went to the director over, housing and development, to no avail. They just been ignoring me, just keep sending me emails trying to get me to sign these papers so they can be done with me and leave my home in this unsafe condition. So I'm reaching out to the council to look at who you all are dealing with as contractors and for help to get my home repaired in a proper manner, which the city is paying for through these programs. So if any help that can be done, I do live in District 5. So, if any help that you can give me this purpose, I will gladly receive it. So that is my time. I appreciate anything that you all could do. And please investigate ABM Restoration because they are on another house, HUD housing development for this fiscal year. So he's received over $250,000 from the city, and he's leaving residents in a bad situation in the Ruskin. And this is for low-income families to restore the homes that they own. So if you could please do anything that you can, and you can stop doing business with ABM Restoration. And the city is aware of the fraud and abuse that he had been reported for, because I reported it and I showed them the emails and different things like that, and they're continuing to want to work with him. So anything that you all can do to help me, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Simpson?
Good evening. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Louisville Democratic Socialists of America's Solidarity City 2025 campaign. We heard from several of my comrades at the March 27th meeting speak about the need for strong, uncompromising policies for sanctuary for youth and immigrants. I'm here to say that those policies are still needed more than ever. Specifically, Metro Council must enact sanctuary policies for immigrants. I work with immigrants and refugees on a daily basis, and I can attest to the fact that these are unprecedented times. Funding cuts to nonprofits have shaken established support systems, and arbitrary changes to immigration procedures have left all immigrants, regardless of how they arrive in the country, terrified for their futures. People who have been and want to follow the law are having their lives uprooted, and by passing unequivocal sanctuary policies, Metro could grant them a measure of stability that they're being otherwise denied by the federal government, by some members of the state government, and by surrounding counties who are overextending support to immigration law enforcement. Councilman Herndon, you represent District 4, where JBS Swift is located, the pork processing plant that gives Butchertown its name. JBS is so well known in the Cuban community that people arrive from the city asking how to get a job at El Matadero, El Butcher. Immigrants are your constituents. Councilwoman Shanklin, District 2 has GE Appliance Park, which proudly boasts an In Every Voice program that has language ambassadors for Spanish, Swahili, and Kinyarwanda-speaking workers. Immigrants are your constituents. Councilwoman Chapel, 2 weekends ago, the whole world had its eyes on your District 15 for an event that would have been impossible without 80% of the staff. Immigrants are your constituents. Time permitted, I could continue for every district represented here today, because immigrants are your constituents. Solidarity City is not advocating for protections for immigrants for the sake of political debate. We are standing alongside the immigrants that have built Louisville as a city through their contributions to industry and culture. We are standing alongside our friends, co-workers, neighbors, and church members. Immigrants are not a threat to our communities, they are our communities. To that end, immigrants should not feel less safe to walk down the street, to take their kids to school, to buy groceries, or to worship, because they might encounter an immigration enforcement agent who has been bolstered by their own tax dollars from this city. Sanctuary policy would be protecting the residents of Louisville from an infringement on the rights to due process. It is easy to target immigrants as other than outsiders, but an attack on the rights of any person living in this country or this city is an attack on all of our rights. Again, I urge you to protect Louisville by protecting your constituents through enacting sanctuary policy. We should not be diverting city resources to terrorizing city residents. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Heather Loverini, and I stand before you as a proud resident of Louisville and also as a member of Louisville Democratic Socialists of America and a concerned advocate for our immigrant community. Louisville has made meaningful strides toward being a welcoming city. Both Louisville Metro Police Department and Jefferson County Public Schools have taken a formidable stance of non-involvement with ICE. That is a vital step, and I thank you for supporting policies that protect the trust between immigrants and our public institutions. But let me be clear, our immigrant neighbors need more than neutrality. They need affirmation, they need protection. And tonight, I urge this council to take the next step and declare Louisville a sanctuary city. Every day, immigrants in our city live under the shadow of fear. Fear of detention, deportation, and separation from their families. These are people who pay taxes, contribute to our economy, and enrich the culture of our neighborhoods. They deserve more than silence in the face of federal intimidation. They deserve our full and public commitment to their safety and dignity. By declaring sanctuary status, Louisville will not be breaking federal law. What we will be doing is prioritizing local safety over politics, ensuring that our police focus on protecting residents and not policing immigrant status. We will be sending a clear message that Louisville stands with its immigrant population and that we will not be complicit in tearing families apart. We've seen what happens when fear keeps people from reporting crimes or seeking medical help. Our entire community suffers. But when people feel safe, when they know that their city stands behind them, they participate, they contribute, and they thrive. Louisville is becoming known as a city that leads with compassion. Let's lead with that compassion now. Let us match the courage of our immigrant neighbors with a courageous policy. Let us declare Louisville a sanctuary city and show that this community protects all who call it home. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Lisa Leon, and I'm also a member of the Louisville Democratic Socialists of America. I'm speaking on behalf of our 2025 Solidarity City campaign to urge you to pass a sanctuary ordinance for trans people. As a lifelong Louisvillian, I need you to prioritize our trans neighbors and pass a sanctuary ordinance with legal protections for our identities, bodily autonomy, and right to exist. I want to first tell you a little bit about me and my story. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm 22 years old. I grew up in District 18 and now reside in District 6. I came out as non-binary in 2021 when I was still in college. I was accepted by my family and received a lot of support from my own community. I had other trans youth to lean on and learn from. But my journey has not been easy. I battled with mental illness, facing moments where I wasn't sure I would survive. Access to affirming healthcare and therapy didn't just improve my life, it saved me. And this is why I'm here tonight, because every trans person deserves the same chance at survival, at thriving, and at simply existing. Being trans is not a mental illness, it's not a trend, it's not sinful or evil or bad. Being trans is beautiful, and people are trying to take that away from us. I have watched as people that we elected debate our existence, watching people we elected attack us for simply existing. Trans people account for less than 1% of our country's population. Why are we at the center of a manufactured culture war when our community is struggling with real challenges like poverty, healthcare access, and economic instability? We can't afford to go backwards anymore. Educate yourself and others about these dangers and who are supporting them. It might seem like a partisan issue, but it's really not. This is a human rights issue. Everyone deserves the right to be themselves, to be happy, and to be proud. As an example, we can look to the City of West Hollywood's ordinance from 2023 that, quote, reiterates the City of West Hollywood's commitment to transgender rights and equal protections for trans community members in light of the anti-trans proposals being proposed and enacted throughout the country, end quote. This isn't just a legal document, it's a shield. It's a statement of our values, and it's a declaration that trans lives are worth protecting. Our state assembly has already done enormous harm to trans Kentuckians, especially to our youth. Louisville can show the rest of Kentucky that trans people are not a community to fear. This isn't just about protecting us. It's about affirming the core values of our city: compassion, equality, and the right of every person to live authentically and safely. A sanctuary ordinance isn't a political statement, it's a declaration of our shared humanity. Let us live. Thank you.
Next, we have the approval of council minutes for the regular meeting of April 24, 2025. Is there any corrections or deletions? Have a motion? Motion. Second?
Second.
All right, properly moved, all in favor say aye. In opposition? The ayes have it.
Through every note, every performance, the arts connect us. The arts connect us through joy and through awe, bridging cultures and generations. From intimate theaters to the grandest stages, the arts bring us together, reminding us that we're never truly alone. When we experience the arts, we experience each other. Kentucky Performing Arts. The arts connect us.
If you do nothing else.
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 If you do nothing